The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to Easy Money New England.
Oh, can somebody help us here?
We can, because we are real estate and mortgage professionals.
Where you go?
It says come in and browse.
That's right. Come on in, listen up and learn.
How long do you intend to browse?
In a short period of time, our panel will teach you some tricks that might make your house buying easier.
You don't ask her how long she intends to browse.
You might not be looking for a mortgage today, but we'll get you ready.
You don't look like browsers.
Are you looking?
No, what do browsers look like?
Yeah, maybe I'm half browse.
On his father's side.
This is Easy Money New England
Let's show the lady we're browse.
with your host, Brian Damico.
Hey, look at us, we're browse. One more word out of you and he gets it, all right? Come on.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of our show, Easy Money New England, where every week we bring you money-making opportunities or money-saving ideas, all in the area of real estate. And this week we're going solo. We're talking about the new book that just came out, and I know we did a show previously, but it really wasn't all. It was kind of a sneak peek. But the name of the book is Real Estate Riches: Take the First Step and Buy Your First Home. And you know, it's really a 40-page book, easy read. It could have very well been a 500-page book, but it really stresses the importance of picking your team, your mortgage officer, your realtor, your attorney, and eventually, a strong accountant. And the reason why I wrote it at the beginning was, I always, everyone likes making money, right? And I like making money in real estate. And as you go through the years, and you've been doing this for as long as I have, over 20 years now, you start to see trends and you start to see people making tremendous amounts of money. And how they've done it is much more simple than you would really think. Yeah, some people make it look really simple, but it's not that simple. Like we like to say, there's no such thing as easy money, right?
There's no such thing.
There's no such thing. But, if just making the right decisions to put you in the right position, things start happening a little quicker, and with the strategy in place, it's much more obtainable. So through my 20 years of real estate and mortgage and understanding the importance of financial statements and talking to banks and what they're looking at and really creating cash flow, we came up with this book, again, Real Estate Riches. And the reason it says take the first step and buy your first home is you really can't get into real estate and you can't make that first step until you get your first house.
It's like a club almost.
Yeah. I mean, how can you say I'm going to make money in real estate when you don't even own, you haven't set yourself up yet?
Right.
So the idea of setting yourself up first is important. I mean, unless you got a really good gig where you don't have to pay rent and you can live wherever you want and you're single, have kids, you can live in a trailer if you wanted to, right, Jonathan?
That's my dream.
It's your dream, double wide. Unless you have a good situation like that where, you can really, one of the gentlemen we had on the show, house hacks, and he rents out rooms to other people.
And he himself, to save up, stayed in a room for $500 instead of spending $1,200 on rent. And
I think today he has 7 properties, and he's building up his net worth, and he's building up his cash flow. So great story, right? So it all matters how you kind of get started, but the importance is getting set up really in your own. So if in fact I was brand new getting into the real estate market today, we promote that you buy a multifamily, because when you buy that multifamily, y'all living in one side, you might have a tenant in the other, or you might even have 2 units, you might have a 3 unit that y'all live in. And I know a gentleman now, he's buying a 3-family, he's going to live in one of the units, and it's beneficial to him because he's learning how to become a landlord. Those other 2 units, they're not just going to come home every night and say everything's great, here's your rent. There's always going to be something, right? Sure. So the practice that he's getting has been immense. And so he's already talking about his next property. So he's getting in position to build an equity. And if you buy right, the equity kind of comes with time. And there's also some other strategies that you can do to build more equity.
How important is it to set yourself up in the respect of living within your means, getting into that situation, instead of dropping $300 on a cable bill, maybe use Netflix?
Well, personally, I think it's very important. It's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep, right?
Right.
So, I know many people make plenty of money, but they don't keep any of it. So what good is that? I mean, they're taking all their money and they're buying cars, or they're buying watches, or they're buying vacations. And, that's great if you're still keeping a percentage of the money that you're saving and you're putting in, real estate, stocks, bonds, whatever it is. You got to put that money away. There's got to be some kind of savings. And we talked to another gentleman on our show who talked about, saving $500 in the next 60 days. Just small little things. So you could see what he built up to. He's extraordinarily wealthy, and he's very frugal, right? So frugal is the key word here. Is cheap is one thing, frugal is another.
Right.
Frugal's really this. Look it up. But frugal's like a smart way to go about money. So
my dad used to always say, if you're going to buy tools, you buy the best tools that you can afford to buy at that time, because those tools are going to help you make money. He's a contractor, so those tools are going to help you make money. It's not a liability, it's an asset at that point. And the same thing for at home. It's not like you're going to go, you need a chainsaw to take trees down and you're burning wood and saving money that way at your house. You get a better chainsaw. You spend a little bit extra to get the better chainsaw because you're not going to buy 3 chainsaws while you're living there.
Right.
But at the same time, you don't have to have every single cable channel known to man coming in through your satellite dish. There's other less expensive ways of being entertained at home.
Yeah, I think now cable bills upwards of almost $300 a month now for cable, which is insane. You get internet, you get cable. $300 is $300 a month. Do that over 12 months, and what else can you do with that money?
Well, in looking at it, I think my next step is I'm going to cancel cable, and I'm going to go with an unlimited data plan on my phone, and then I can use my phone as a hotspot. I've got unlimited data at that point. I can get all my internet. I can cancel everything and spend $150 a month for my wife's and my phone instead of $100 a month, and also have a cable bill.
But Mr. Jonathan, now that you are self-employed, right? You have your own LLC. From one of our shows, Mr. Jonathan says, you know what? I am self-employed, and I need my own LLC. So your home office needs internet, it needs cable, it needs all these things, right? So, that's another strategy that a lot of people, and I thought it was kind of common knowledge, but then when I got, researching a little bit, it's not common knowledge that if you do any kind of work and you have income coming in and it's considered just a check or a credit card someone's paying you, you're self-employed, and you should be able to write off that income through an LLC, which saves you, I think, somewhere around the area of every dollar that you spend is like 30 cents, 40 cents on the dollar.
Right.
So by having that, you might have expenses flow through your LLC. That's kind of just writing off your income, which is a great thing. Everyone should have it if they do side, especially in this day and age. Everyone has like an internet side business, a side hustle, something going on. But going back to your point about the tools, my father always says, take care of your tools and they'll take care of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But he'll be the first one. If I'm having something laid around, have tools laying around, he'll steal them. It's like, oh, where'd it go? Well, yeah, you stole it. So getting back to, being frugal versus cheap, this book isn't really, it says the importance of keeping your money instead of spending it, but at the same time, you don't have to live like a pauper to become successful in real estate. You have to buy right. And the 1% rule, so right before the show went on, I got a call from someone looking to sell his condo. It's investment now, and I asked him, how much are you making on that property? And he said $150 a month. And he could clear $176,000 if he was to sell it today. So it was very simple math, and I said, Serge, how much would you have to make? $150 a month is what you make now, and you're going to cash out 100 and was it? He owed 100. 200. He's going to cash out about 175. How long would it take for you to get that money over the course of a lifetime at $125 a month? It just doesn't make sense. Take the money and increase your cash flow. So, he started going on asking about trusts and asking about different things. And really what it comes down to is, that's all planning and estate planning and how you want to structure deals. But in this instance, he's not going back to go live in that condo. So go ahead.
Isn't that an opportunity for a 1031 exchange, if I'm not mistaken?
Exactly. That's exactly.
I'm starting to learn. I'm not as dumb as I once was.
So the 1031 exchange is very, very important. Because he would sell it and then pay the taxes and then go buy something else. When the question is, do you really need the money right now, or are you just trying to increase cash flow? The answer was, I'm just trying to increase cash flow. So I said, all right, well, why don't you do an exchange? I'll put you in touch with the exchange people. You'll have basically $276,000 that you're going to put into a new property. So if you could find a 3-family, and we talked about different parts of the state where the prices would be, and I told them to use the 1% rule. So if you buy a 3-family for $400,000 or $300,000, let's say it's $300,000. 1% should be coming in on rent for that place to make sense. So as long as you have $3,000 coming in on rent and you're paying $300,000 for a $300,000 for a multifamily, you're safe. That's kind of quick math, just a way to figure it out. So he's going to start looking for properties to see what makes sense, and that could be in Haverhill, it could be in Lawrence, it could be in Lowell. Closer to the city, prices are really getting a little bit frothy, and it's tough to make money unless you're going to kind of go in there and maybe condo them or do more of a project. But what I've recently came across is called, another really, really interesting concept is Delaware Statutory Trusts. So they're called DSTs, and we're definitely going to have the gentleman who kind of leads the nation in these on the show, hopefully in the next few weeks. But he's leading the nation in what's called the Delaware Statutory Trust. And, if you were to exchange property into like kind or bigger, like, for example, say you had a 3-family, it's worth $800,000 today, and you don't owe any money on it. You could take that money and instead of that's not enough money to buy your own CVS or Walgreens triple net lease, but it's enough money to invest in what's called a DST, and you would get a portion of that trust. So it's really a security. It's not really, a realtor isn't selling this to you. A broker-dealer is. But after doing the due diligence for the last, I'd say, month, and I've called at least 7 people now that have been in these instruments for the last 5 to 6 years, people are finding a lot of success with this because it's not like your mom and pop saying, hey, I'm going to sell you a portion of a building. It's real quality Wall Street firms that have come up with these securities that you're buying a portion of this trust. The trust owns the property, and you're having a percentage of the trust. When that trust is now fully funded, they can't go back and say, oh, we had a catastrophe, you got to throw more money in or something like that. It's really set up that it's the biggest driver on this DST model is because now, since 2009, you're able to label these properties as the IRS has said it's okay to trade your property into this DST model, which is huge because people are saving a lot of money on taxes.
So similar to a 1031 exchange in that you're kind of kicking that tax bill down the road? So
when you get the 1031 exchange, right, the problem with the 1031 exchanges in this area right now is if you were to sell your property, where are you going to go? I mean, are you going to take a successful property that's making money and then go try to find something in the area that's going to make the same amount of money? Probably not going to find it. If you go from residential to commercial, maybe it's better. But with the prices the way they are and you only have, I want to say it's 45 days to locate another property on the 1031. Don't quote me. I believe it's 45 days. I know it's 180 days to close on it, but you have to identify it. But if you can't find anything, you're kind of stuck, and you don't want to go on a property that doesn't make more sense than the property you're relinquishing because that would make no sense. So by going into there's enough properties around the country that fall into this DST model, and the returns on them are anywhere from like 5% to 7% to 8%.
You ain't getting that in the bank.
No. And, where else, if you cash out of your, say you just take the money and pay the taxes, well, after tax dollars, it's not as much money as you could be making on if you were able to exchange it and get that 5-6% rate. There's also opportunity for capital appreciation when they sell. I mean, it's a lot of, but the thing that you have to really get comfortable with is you have no control over this asset. So it might be that you just invested in 6 CVSs over the course of 6 states. But that's some diversification. If you want to take another level of diversification, you might have 1 CVS, 1 Walgreens, a health medical building, some multifamily buildings, residential in like Denver, Colorado, or Florida. You can really diversify based on the different commercial classes that are out there today. And then, instead of getting one property, like, if you exchange it into like a one big box store, now you have diversification. And you don't just have diversification in one company like a CVS or a Walgreens, or in one state for that matter, right? Because geography is another level of diversification. Say, all your money is tied up in the Northeast. Well, you might want to put some down in Florida, Nevada, Washington State. Just kind of spread it out. So now you have geography diversification as well. So it's been a fascinating due diligence period for me just to learn about it. And, we're definitely...
Especially if you can find a market that hasn't really been tapped, something that's kind of starting to emerge.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? These buildings, you couldn't get better graded. Everyone would want to own this real estate by themselves if they could. The problem is, some of these buildings go for $35 million, $40 million. But you still have the same, if you're looking for just cash flow and income with no management, this is something, and all these buildings, the number one question, it was my number one question, is what happens if they sell the building? Well, if they sell that building, you own a percentage of that trust. Your percentage is going to come to you, and they're going to say, do you want to take the money or do you want to exchange it into something else? Because if this property manager group is having success and they get you your 5 or 6% return every single month, right? So say it's $100,000 you put in and you're getting, $6,000 a year, 6% return. Say you're getting that money every single month, and you say, hey, this has been working great. Plus, I'm going to get some capital appreciation. Well, I have the opportunity to exchange into that next property as well. So you can keep riding that out. Or you could take the money and just pay the taxes.
Is it a dividend check that comes to you?
It's actually income, just like you would if you own the property on your schedule and your tax return. So
you're getting rents?
Yeah, you're getting rents. So you
based on the amount that you're in on that
every month,
trust.
right to your checking account. Now, I can't sell it. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't have my Series 660. I'm not selling anything here. I'm just kind of telling everybody about what's out there that I've learned, which is, I think, based on the information that I've gathered, it's been a great investment vehicle that really is less than 5% of the 1031 exchange world today.
Wow.
Very unknown in the Northeast, very well known in like California or Texas, but it just hasn't got to the Northeast yet. And for some reason, I don't know. But, if you talk to accountants or attorneys or everybody around here, including my accountants and attorneys, it's terrible. You can lose your money. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. But they don't know anything about it, and they refuse to do the due diligence on it. But you have to do the due diligence. You have to talk to people that have been in it. You have to go through. I mean, these are big Wall Street firms that, there's a sponsor company, right? So they come up with these properties that make sense. And then there's a broker-dealer in the middle. It's all regulated. Something that all you got to do is search DSTs, and you'll see what pops up.
Oh,
Probably K Properties. The gentleman, Dwight K, is
there a minimum on some of them?
Minimum's around $25,000 on some, and then there's some that the minimum's $100,000. It all depends on the property and how many owners, interest is left. I mean, since we've been looking at some of these, and we've looked at a few, a lot have already been sold out from the time that we saw them versus, if we're ready to kind of invest in them. But it's not for everybody, right? But at the same time, if it's a small portion of your portfolio and, and you're looking for diversification, I mean, obviously there's risks in everything.
Sure.
Real estate is still a risky class, right? It goes up, it goes down. You just need to know what happens. Like, for example, there's one sponsor company that only invests in necessity-based consumer items. Like, for example, if we ever had a 2008 that came again, they invest only in Dollar General or ShopRite or these stores that, if you look at the last downturn, 2008, these companies actually did better in the downturn.
Right. People end up looking for cheaper places to buy their products.
So you'll see them that they have big portfolios of companies that just, it makes a lot of sense, right? Because they're already protected against the downturn.
Not completely protected. It's not an exact science, but you've got a lot more safety.
No, I mean, one of the downfalls would be, like, for example, if you own a bunch of property and Toys R Us was the tenant, right?
Right.
They went bankrupt. I'm sure I'm sure those landlords, they got to find someone else to go in there. I'm sure the returns aren't going to be the same until you actually get a new tenant in there.
Right.
But if you had a one-box store like a CVS, say you got it around here, and they went out of business, well, who else is going to go in there? You know, you got a box. Now you're back to being a landlord. You got to figure out what's going to go on, who we're going to get for tenants. You know, you might have to chop it up to get more than one tenant in there, and then it's becoming a full-time job. This is really a different setup where there's no management involved. But again, you have to get comfortable with it. It's a very tough thing. So, I mean, really, getting back to the book, that's really, 1031, what is a 1031 exchange? So we could talk about 1031 exchange, but as you can see, the reason why this book is so skinny is because new things like this come up, new things we learn about. And if you go to briandamico.com and you see tools of the trade, you'll start seeing some of the things that I'll be putting on here. I know that, through my book, there'll be some financial statements that you can actually type out so you can really keep track of, increasing your net worth or increasing your cash flow. We'll have tools like that. We'll have contacts that you can talk to about some of these investment strategies. But, without further ado, we can, shoot to a commercial here, and then we'll talk a little bit about how you can get a copy of my free book.
It's a new day, it's a new way. Call 877-NEW-FED-1. It's a new way.
Hi folks, it's Brian Damico, owner of NewFed Mortgage. People always ask me, what's the difference between pre-approved and pre-qualified? Well, pre-approval is a more rigorous process than a pre-qualification. It's a written commitment from a lender to extend a mortgage to you for a specific amount and time period. With a pre-approval, you'll be able to set your budget, negotiate confidently, and close faster. Typically, sellers will only accept offers from those who are pre-approved. That's why you need to call NewFed and ask about our pre-approval purchase program so that you get a real pre-approval and get on the fast track to purchasing the home of your dreams. Don't waste time dealing with big banks. Get pre-approved at NewFed today. We're local and we're here to help.
877-NEW-FED-1.
Subject to credit approval, equal housing lender, NMLS number 1881. Call or see website for details.
877-NEW-FED-1. It's a new day, it's a new way. Call 877-NEW-FED-1. It's a new way.
Hi folks, it's Brian Damico, owner of NewFed Mortgage. I've met so many people who want to make money in real estate but just don't know how. They pay for expensive real estate courses and seminars and they just left more confused. This is why I wrote the book, Real Estate Riches. Take the first step and buy your first home. Whether you want to buy your first home or an investment property, I share some of the best secrets to real estate success in my new book. Just visit briandamico.com/free book to receive your coupon from Amazon. When you finish reading, give me a call so we can set up your financial future together. That's briandamico.com, briandamico.com/free book. Sign up and receive your free book from Amazon. Subject to credit approval, equal housing lender, NMLS number 1881. Call or see website for details.
877-NEW-FED-1.
I think the number might be 877-NEW-FED-1.
Yes, you can definitely get me there. It's called 877-NEW-FED-1. Tell them, you want a copy of the free book, and we'll get you started through Amazon. If you want to pay for it, you can too. It's $6. It's a good value for the money.
Absolutely. You're going to make more than your money back. We guarantee it.
Yes. Well, money back. We'll give you a money back guarantee. We'll
Nice.
give you $6 back if not. But the goal here is to, get the education out there, get people making money in real estate without, going to these seminars. Of course, I've been through some seminars and some courses, and I don't see it. But our last person who was on this podcast, or vodcast we call it, right? The last person that was on here actually started off on an infomercial.
Right.
What was the godfather of the real estate? What was it? Carlton Sheets. He did a Carlton Sheets course, and he does 40 offers a week buying flipped houses, right? So he buys houses that he flips, and then he takes the proceeds and put them in commercial property. And he has tenants like Starbucks, tenants like, like that, which is really the goal if you look at. We were talking about mailbox money, right? The goal of real estate is to, when you get to a certain age, let's call it 80, you really don't want to manage property at that point.
Right.
So I think that the whole progression of getting smarter and getting good in real estate is, I want something that just pays me every month and I have the best property in town. Like a McDonald's, right? They get all the best property, right? So I think that's the progression. And most of the people I talk to that have been through the full cycle is, they just don't, managing residential property is difficult. It's just, you have a lot of turnover. You have people moving out, you got people moving in. You got to do the snow removal. You got no heat calls. You got no hot water calls. It's always something. You got to paint. Tenant dies inside the property. You got to make sure that people come down and clean it up.
Hazmat suits and whatnot.
All that kind of stuff. So there's so much stuff that goes on in residential world. Whereas in commercial, they handle it all. Triple net lease. Listen, we take care of it. You might have to take care of the roof, but for $30,000 a month, I'll take care of a roof.
Sure.
So I think that's kind of where the progression comes to. So if you can understand that when you're first starting out, that, hey, look, I'm going to work hard for the next 20 years. It's not it's a slow move. It's a slow grind. It's not a get-rich-quick scheme by any
Are you saying that there's no such thing as easy money,
There
Brian?
really is no such thing. If you do know anything as easy money, definitely let us know. Every single thing that I thought was easy money cost me money. So, we don't want to go down that road again. But yeah, buying assets. This is just an asset class. Real estate is one asset class. Stocks is another asset class. Mutual funds, similar to stocks, but it's an asset class. Annuities, life insurance. And again, you're going to have all this stuff to put on your personal financial statement when you first get started to really understand how to get going. And again, DSTs isn't for a first-time home buyer. DSTs is someone that already owns a lot of property, is getting really aggravated and running it, wants to find a solution, but doesn't want to pay taxes. It's really for a really pinpoint a small piece of the population out there. But I know some people that, instead of throwing $100,000 in the stock market, they threw it in a DST. So they're making $6,000 a year, $500 a month, and it works for them because that's kind of what their goal was for that $100,000. Instead of having it sit in the bank and make less than 1%, they like this. But again, everyone's different. Everyone has a different plan, and that's where you kind of really got to get to. So getting back to the book, so BrianDamico.com is a new website that we just got going, and you'll see that our podcasts are listed there. We have a blog that is pretty much the show notes, and then we have tools of the trade. And that's where I'm going to start doing a lot of research and bringing things that I think would benefit our viewers or our listeners or, people that have read the book.
BrianDamico.com is going to be definitely a tool for somebody that is looking to learn, at the very least, learn about how to make money in real estate.
Correct. I do it now every day. I'm just kind of trying to share the knowledge of everything I've gone through. It's it's a full-time job, kind of just learning about the things that are out there. But then once you get to the strategy where, hey, look, I've been through all these different things. I understand it all. We're just going to share it. And if, in fact, like the gentleman just called me this morning and just texted me, if I can make him, the goal is to make him a millionaire. And you could do that. He's starting off where he has a condo. It's a very small condo, 700 square feet. He can make $175,000. And he's going to take that money. We're going to put it into a 3-family, which he already sent me a few listings. And so instead of making $150 a month, he's probably going to make somewhere around $1,200 a month. So he just increased his cash flow 9 times, pretty much, 8-9 times. And by doing so, that's a life changer.
That's huge.
If I give him $1,000 more a month, as much as it doesn't seem like a lot of money, that you're counting on that money now for the next 12 months. That's, it's a life changer for some people. And once you do that, now you just got to duplicate it, right? So the idea is to keep building equity, take the equity out of the home that you already have. And again, this isn't for the faint of heart. This book is not your typical buy a house, wait 30 years, pay it off, and then go into the next one. No, it's
aggressive.
It's aggressive strategy. It's not for everybody. We want to leverage everything we got. And some people might look at that as risky.
Many people would look
people will look at that as risky.
You know what? There are inherent risks in everything. You could get hit by a car walking across the street.
That's right.
Doesn't mean you're not going to cross the street.
Right. But let's talk about all the people that says, I could have bought that building for $80,000 10 years ago, and my wife talked me out of it. Well, why did she talk you out of it? Because she was taking that money and she was buying, jewelry and stuff that didn't make sense. take the money, buy an asset. Even if it's a stock, a bond, a mutual fund, I mean, obviously, you got to do your research and make sure you're buying the right one. Stocks are a little frothy just as much as real estate is right now. But if you just thought about the cash flow, if you gave that to your wife today or you gave it to the significant other and you said, hey, look it's $80,000. Sounds like a lot of money, but this is how much I got to pay a month. And this is how much I'm going to make. And shit, maybe you can make, maybe I can buy you something with the money that's coming in. It's all the way you position the conversation, right? So
you want to have that money work for you, not just have it go out the window.
Bingo. Your money should be working for you at all times. If in fact you're sitting on a house that has no mortgage on it, think about it, right? So perfect example of this DST model, which this show is not about DSTs. I'll get you a real professional about DSTs in the next coming weeks.
You got me interested, though.
You're going to be blown away. I mean, it's amazing the stuff they're doing. But say, for example, I bought a house for $200,000. All right, so I have no mortgage on it. I've been into it for 15 years. I paid off the mortgage. All right, so I got no mortgage. I'm paying for taxes, paying for insurance. So I got a little bit of cost there, but I don't have a mortgage payment. Everyone's like, oh, that's great. All your payments. Yeah, but say that house is worth $600,000 today. Why not jack up, for a lack of a better word, jack up as much as you could take out of your house, put that into an aggressive real estate strategy, and you just increased your cash flow. So, for example, if you took that $600,000 and you put it into the real estate market, you bought a home or whatever. If you use the 1% rule, you have $6,000 coming in on rent. On a mortgage, I can't do it without a mortgage calculator, but say you're paying $3,000 costs. So your net is $3,000 a month by using an asset that,
it's all
doing
leverage.
Nothing for you.
It's all leverage.
Right, but you also got to, you got to factor in what the mortgage payment's going to be on that house that you jack it up, for lack of a better word. And then you got to take the mortgage into perspective on the one that you're buying. But at the end of the day, if your cash flow is increasing, and granted, I mean, you don't want to carry a ton of debt, but there's ways, you got to look at it.
Yeah.
Right? So if I had $600,000 laying around in a house that was kind of paid for, well, I'm going to use that, right? Because I want to increase my cash flow. I want to increase all these different things. And then who knows? That property you bought, you might have bought, it was a good timing of buying that property, and it might have increased in value. You might have been able to take that value and knock down that other mortgage and say, hey, look, now I got two pieces of property. I already paid off this other mortgage because, I just made a quick dollars right here because of, the aggressiveness.
Absolutely.
But again, not for everybody. Some people are going to say, hey, I want to take my house. I want to keep it for 30 years, and I don't want anybody touching my mortgage. I've seen that happen many times. I know many people right now with a mortgage, they were still paying 5.75%, even when the rates were down to 3.25%. So they're still paying 5.75 because their mentality is 30-year mortgage. No one's going to touch my mortgage. I know what I got to pay for 30 years. What they could have did was they could have decreased their interest rate, shortened the term, paid the same amount of money, and they would have been paid off by now, right? So that's the part they don't get. And we don't want to generalize. No one wants to go through the education. Oh, yeah, everyone thinks that they know that, this is the way we want to do it. But,
people listening to this podcast want to be educated.
They want to be educated. And I think that, get educated. If you have any questions whatsoever, send them over to easymoney@newfed.com. And if you see any type of thing that you want us to research, send it to us as well. And again,
always looking for topics.
Easy Money.
That's right.
If you got anything that's easy money, let us know about it too. All right. Well, so with that, I'm signing off. Thank you for another edition of the show. And in the next coming weeks, we'll have some really good opportunities.
All right. No such thing as easy money. We'll see you next week.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.